Before the Doomslayer became Hell's eternal nightmare, he was a weapon in someone else's hands. The Maykrs gave him power, stripped away his will, and sent him into war against the demons of Hell. But the story of Doom the Dark Ages is not about how the Slayer became unstoppable, it's about what happened when he finally broke free. Long before Mars, Earth, and everything that happens in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, the war against Hell was already tearing through Argent D'Nur. The Night Sentinels, led by King Novik, are trapped in a brutal war against endless demonic armies. Their cities are under siege, their people are being slaughtered, and their greatest weapon is the Doomslayer. Which sounds great, except for one tiny little problem. At this point in the timeline, the Slayer is not fully in control of himself. A Maykr bishop named Kreed controls him through a device called the Tether. It suppresses the Slayer's mind and keeps him focused on one thing: killing demons. So basically, the Maykrs looked at the angriest man in the universe and said, yeah, let's put a leash on that. Bold strategy. For now, it works. Whenever Hell attacks, Kreed sends in the Slayer and the battlefield turns into a one-man extinction event. The demon leading the invasion is Prince Ahzrak, a powerful lord of Hell who quickly realizes that fighting the Slayer directly is a terrible career choice. So instead, Ahzrak focuses on the real prize, the Heart of Argent. The heart is an ancient source of power, and if Ahzrak can claim it, he believes he can become strong enough to rule Hell and crush Argent D'Nur once and for all. His forces attack Sentinel territory, searching for the heart while the Slayer tears through demons like he's late for an appointment. Eventually, Ahzrak reaches the holy city of Argent, where the heart is believed to be hidden. With the help of the Slayer and King Novik, the Sentinels manage to stop him from taking it. But Novik does not fully trust the Maykrs. And honestly, he shouldn't, because while they claim to be allies, they are also using the Slayer as their personal weapon. So Novik keeps the heart himself, refusing to hand it over to Hell or to the Maykrs. That saves the heart for about 5 minutes. Ahzrak launches another massive attack, surrounding the Sentinels, trying to wipe them out before they can escape. The Sentinels are getting overwhelmed, but Kreed refuses to send the Slayer because he's more worried about protecting himself and maintaining control.
Should we launch the Slayer now? The Sentinels will be overrun.
Then what about us?
Unfortunately for Kreed, the Slayer is starting to wake up. He sees the Sentinels dying, he sees innocent people being butchered, and even through the Tether, something inside him fights back. Kreed is forced to send him into battle, and the Slayer does what the Slayer does best. He holds back Hell long enough for the Sentinels to survive, but Ahzrak still manages to take the heart from Novik. Only when he finally gets it, he realizes the artifact is empty. The heart itself is not the true source of power, it needs something else. And that something else is Commander Thira. Thira carries the soul of a wraith, the ancient power needed to awaken the Heart of Argent. Once Ahzrak learns this, the entire war shifts. He no longer just wants the artifact, he wants her. Meanwhile, Kreed is growing desperate. He can feel his control over the Slayer weakening, and instead of realizing that enslaving the Doomslayer was probably a terrible idea, he decides to betray the Sentinels. Great call, buddy. Kreed secretly gives Prince Ahzrak the information he needs, and with the help of the witch, a mysterious being from the cosmic realm, Ahzrak captures Thira. The Slayer follows them, but Kreed betrays him completely. Ahzrak overpowers him, extracts Thira's wraith soul to empower the heart, and instead of killing the Slayer, has him in prison, because Ahzrak knows killing him won't be permanent. Which is actually pretty smart, but the problem is, imprisoning him is not much better. Trapped and surrounded by ancient beings, the Slayer does the only thing he can do. He overloads the Tether in his armor, destroying a device that has been controlling him. It kills the creatures holding him, but it also kills him. For most people, that would be a pretty serious setback, but for the Doomslayer, it's more like a detour. His soul is sent to Hell, and Hell makes the classic mistake of having the Doomslayer inside of it. He fights his way back until Commander Valen brings him back through a demonic resurrection ritual. Now the Slayer is alive again, but this time the Tether is gone, Kreed's control is gone, the Maker's leash is gone, the Slayer is free. And the first thing he does with that freedom is hunt down Kreed. Kreed tries to bargain, he tries to save himself. He offers to lead the Slayer to Thira.
If she dies, his power
The Slayer kills him anyway. Now, with the traitor dead, the Slayer goes after Prince Ahzrak, who has used Thira's power to transform himself into something far more dangerous. But gaining godlike power in a Doom game is usually just a fancy way of extending your boss fight. The Slayer battles Prince Ahzrak, tears the Heart of Argent from his body, and frees Thira's soul. Ahzrak survives long enough to retreat back into hell, but at this point, that's not an escape, that's just choosing where you want to die. Thira rallies the Night Sentinels, and together they launch one final assault on Ahzrak's fortress. The Slayer cuts through Hell's army, corners the demonic prince, and finishes him for good. When Hell sees its prince destroyed, the army breaks. Argent D'Nur is saved, at least for now. The Maykrs try to distance themselves from Kreed's betrayal. King Novik prepares to purge the remaining traitors, and Thira tells the Sentinels not to put their faith in the Maykrs anymore. And the Slayer? He says nothing. He takes Kreed's ship and continues the crusade.